Hey Micah. So we've just had our first lesson on Lift Every Voice and Sing. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about the song and give you your assignment to sing it. The FlipGrid that I'm going to be posting is going to be a guide to that, so you'll have the words in there. I'm also going to go over everything we just talked about in the last lesson, so talking about the time signature and talking about the key signature with the new notes that we have. One important thing to note is that the part that you have is a little bit different than this melody. And that's because you get the really cool job of playing a harmony. Now a harmony it's gonna be something that sounds really, really good when you play it in the group. And it's what makes an orchestra sound like an orchestra is not everyone is playing the same part, and it's much more interesting that way. So you get to add a lot of color and depth and intrigue to the whole sound of the ensemble that's playing. Okay, so let's go ahead and tackle this piece. Lift Every Voice and Sing is considered the Black national anthem. It's February right now, which is Black History Month. And so we wanted to program this and talk a little bit about this piece that is well over 100 years old and is a really important staple in the musical culture of our country. The piece was originally a poem that was written by a man named James Weldon Johnson, and he wrote it in 1899. He was the principal of a school, and back then the school was segregated. So you had all of the black children going to one school, all of the white children going to one school, and he was a principal of one of the black schools. He was a black man himself. And they had this celebration where a very famous speaker named Booker T. Washington came to speak, and it was a celebration of Abraham Lincoln's birthday. Abraham Lincoln was president in the mid-1800s and was president during the Civil War in the United States, and was largely responsible for freeing the slaves in the country. And so this president's really widely celebrated for that major accomplishment in our history. Okay, so they were going to celebrate his birthday, and they wanted a poem to go along with it. And later, Mr. Johnson's brother, Rosamond Johnson, set this poem to music. He was a musician, right? So these two brothers came up with this song, and then it was later widely performed and much beloved, and has gained this title of being the Black National Anthem. Okay, it's essentially a hymn, so it sounds like a church tune, and similar to other music we've learned, I think learning the words and learning to sing it is it's an important part of what this music is for, right? And it's going to help us be able to play it on your instrument too. So I have a couple different versions for you to listen to. Three. There's a short history video on this I want you to watch. Then there is the orchestra version, which is what you'll be playing along with. And then there's the sung version, which I'm going to play for you right now. And at that point, at exactly 1 minute into that recording, the music starts to repeat. You get new words, but it's the same music we've been playing before. So the homework is to sing the first 1 minute of this song along with this recording. You play this YouTube video and then sing along with the words. The words are on the screen, very easy to follow along with, okay? And I think that's really gonna help you start to hear this, and then when you start to play it, it'll come a little bit more naturally to you, okay? Now, the time signature and the key signature. These are both new, right? We had a long conversation about all the new markings that are in this sheet music. You got ties, you got dots on stuff, and you got all these weird accidentals that are changing a lot, okay? It's a lot to keep track of. So let's review that really quickly. The first thing I asked you to look at was the time signature. Here we have a 6/8 time signature. So like we said, we have 6 eighth notes in a measure, but they're gonna be in 2 groupings of 3. 3 plus 3 is 6, right? So when we count, it's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ba, 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 bum. Lift every voice and sing. And like so, you follow the rhythm, and there are just 3 eighth notes instead of 2, which we usually have to each one of the beats. Not so complicated, okay? Ties, as you learned in the lesson, just add whatever 2 notes you have together, okay? But it's very important that when you have a very long note, that you don't just fall asleep and hold it forever and ever and ever. It's still a very specific length. It has 5 beats to it, might have 7 beats to it, but the difference between 5 and 7 is a lot. So you need to make sure that you're holding the long notes the right length, okay? So go through and look at these, lengths, and as you're playing along or as you're singing along, you'll get a better feel for just how long they are when they have the ties, okay? And then lastly, the key signature. You have F sharps and C sharps all over the place, right? Some of the time they're marked, some of the time they're not. But if you look at the left-hand side of each one of your lines, you'll see those 2 sharps on the top line and then on the 3rd space, right? The F sharp and the C sharp, they're on the left side of every single line. So when you have a key signature like that, that means that every time you see either an F or a C, and it doesn't have any other marking, it will be sharped. They will have sharps, okay? And that happens a couple times where you don't actually have the marking, but it's definitely still F sharp and definitely still C sharp. And then within a measure too, if you have 1 note sharped, then all the others that are after it, if you have 1 F that has a sharp and a bunch of Fs after it, it's still F sharp, unless it changes with a natural sign, okay? So that's just a little bit about how to read sharps. And then I guess you have flats in there too, so the same rule applies with those. Good luck practicing this, and I look forward to hearing your sung version of this soon.